Thank you very much for giving me a screen. My name is Gawel Solosky. I am assistant in Bengal University. I will talk to you about biogas, anaerobic digestion, which is the big branch of biological process leading, leading by anaerobic bacteria to the methane. The process of anaerobic digestion is usually four-stage process. The process was used simply somehow unconsciously from the 16th century because before Christ, King of Persia of 16th century before Christ ordered to use or build bathroom which were heated by manual or by gas produced by manual of cows. So as you see, this is the first time. After this were several attempts and was know this process and already was in 19th century uh, more desired when people, due to growing cities, were looking for solution that will utilize the manure of horses, because horses were main traveling source of 19th century. But growing population needed more horses, so more waste needed to be utilized, and thus uh, that's way to use to convert it. So one of the idea was methane, anaerobic digestion, and this idea was being developed by Pasteur, who found that this gas is methane, and this gas can be used, for example, to lighting even or heating. So it can be used for civilization. In the similar age, up to near 20th century, was a guy from Ukraine called Ubeliansky. This Ubeliansky developed that methane production is this four-step process. So namely, first is going by hydrolysis to break some matter into similar simple organic matters. This is one or two step process. And then is transformed into acidic form. This acidic form for acid and hydrogen. And then this bacteria, some group of bacteria, methanol bacteria, which are not, as I mentioned, in case that their fermentation are not stopped, this converted hydrogen and organic acid are converted to the methane. This process, this feed, can be for hydrolysis as converted as
Semestro.
dry.
Hello.
Wait, please. Well, Fatima, let me start because I just started. I don't know who should continue. Uh, well, because I just started. Okay. So uh, yes. We developed this methane production, and this methane production, after some time, was developed this fit into options, but historical part. Then in 30s was developed the the principles of methane production, of how much of Boswell equations could predicted how much methane can be produced per some biomasses, and was just this idea thinking as good as idea, useful idea. And after oil crisis in 1970s, there was a huge interesting on of anaerobic digestion. Also, this huge interest due to oil crisis in 1970s, due to the fact that in Mexico oil resources were depleted and United States were depleted mostly, and there is needed to find of new way of our needs. The methane production was one of concepts. And during this was also idea from methane production of hydrogen, which is special case. If we don't stop, we stop on third step, we get dark fermentation. And these are result of this two step. But methane production due to fact that produce can be produced more methane per 1 kilogram of biomass than hydrogen is there and is more easily developed because methane production can be continuous process, not so uh, unconditionally like in case of hydrogen. There are several industrial scale methods, industrial companies, and both biogas plants for agriculture and city. There are two types of feed that we produce because perfect conditions are usually methane or even basic conditions depending of raw material. The raw material can be in two classification due to dryness. The dry material of methane is containing humidity above 30%, so containing of water. Lower is wet. It depends the choice of material. It depends of conditions and depends of that kind of substrate. Because some materials like, for example, we have in Berlin there is municipal plant utilizing several parts, several waste, because as you know, there's sedimentation waste plant, which contains mostly biogas plant, quite big. And this biogas plant have several problems because when we develop this biogas, you need to choose to utilize different waste. And sometimes, for example, Christmas tree, because in Germany, after Christmas time, we and if we use traditional uh, raw trees, sometimes after Christmas they are thrown to the wastes, and we need to make. And in this case, if we have wood material, like, there is needed to be solved and needed to be used as humidity or below 30 or 30%. And methane production is mostly in case of using is develop troubles that the methane production is usually on the level 60 of 70%, which causes quite troubles, much more troubles to use than natural gas because it's upgrading. And also for producing higher concentration because gas for synthesis needs to be up to 80% and needs to be not use sulfur, hydrogen sulfide, which is quite big trouble in methane. So we use sometimes little aeration at the beginning as one of the problems. The another problem is that we need to produce use this temperature, keeping the temperature on level, because we have to choose during our process if we use mesophilic, thermophilic, or psychophilic. In some areas, psychophilic, for example, as mountain region, which is below 20, is suitable. And this is the trouble how to maintain the temperature. It is using different ways, and sometimes you need to heat up. There is also trouble uh, about how to use which material, because if we don't use this methane, is different changes of law. So sometimes very is less or more profitable. So this biogas plant usually often have to has another another source of profits besides producing the biogas, besides producing biomethane. In Germany, there is also very much, even 4,000 biogas plant. Or China something more, because in China we have some has little micro scale biogas plants, so every kind. And this waste after this the bottom, because we have some waste that are undigested into gas, and this part can be used as fertilizer due to high presence of ammonia. In Berlin, we also producing besides fertilizer for farmers, they producing some nutrients as ammonia chloride, also from plants and chemicals. And this also another. There is also some breeding because often use more often, however, methane production is more efficient from pig manure than from cow manure. The cow manure is more profitable because besides methane from cow, they can be used also as if biogas plant designed for using cow and breeding some cow, they can use also milk products selling. So this is the stuff. There's still somehow not so high, not so cheap as natural gas. So, but now after war, the production of gas-based biogas will be more profitable. So this is the future in Europe, and in China and India is also developed because this utilize much waste. So thank you very much. You can start, Fatima.